Hello everyone, Trophy Winehunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm pleased to bring you the 2018 The Flight, which is the second wine of Screaming Eagle. I've previously done a video on a previous vintage of The Flight. I usually call it the second flight, but I don't know if it's called second flight or it's just called The Flight, but it looks like it's just called The Flight now. And it's 14.7% alcohol. I'm pleased this time that I was able to taste this with a good friend who served it with the 2012 Screaming Eagle. And so we could do a compare and contrast, which I'll talk about when we drink this wine. So I've done a previous video where I did compare and contrast Screaming Eagle to The Flight. And I'll have that at the back of this video. That went through the history of the winery, but just give you a quick summary of that. Screaming Eagle was founded in 1986 by Jean Phillips. She purchased those lands and then sold it to a number of Napa wineries, the grapes, and then in 1992 hired Heidi Barrett as the winemaker and then proceeded to make a small amount of Screaming Eagle. She sold it to Charles Banks and Stan Kroenke in 2006, and they subsequently replanted about 70% of the vineyard, and they canceled all the contracts where other wineries were using their grapes. And then in 2009, Charles sold his interest to Stan Kroenke. The vineyard is about 57 acres in size, with about 46 used for the production of wines. It's planted 60% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Merlot, and 10% Cabernet Franc. And about 22 acres is used to produce Screaming Eagle, and the rest is reused to produce a white wine and also this wine, The Flight. The current winemaker is Nick Gislason, who was formerly of Harlan, and there's about 600 to 800 cases of Screaming Eagle produced each year. I don't know how much The Flight is produced, probably a similar amount. The difference basically is that the blend for Screaming Eagle is much more cab dominant, and the blend for Flight is much more Merlot dominant. More quite even, probably like a little bit heavier Merlot than Cabernet Sauvignon. I don't have the exact blend for the 2018 vintage. So let's drink the wine. I'll let you know that I have had it open now for almost 2 days. We drank it 2 days ago. I put it in the fridge. I was busy with other stuff, and now I've taken it back out. It was decanted, and it spent about 2 hours in the decanter. So, but it's a very young Flight wine, and so I think it's still probably got quite a bit of aroma on it. Just in opening the bottle right now, I can smell the aroma of it. So let's take a smell and a taste of the wine. On the smell, it's actually calmed down quite a bit. When it first came out of the bottle, it was quite tannic, as you can imagine, a lot of dark fruit and cassis. Now it's got that floral component to it. It's got, some roses, some violets. It's still got some cassis and some black fruit flavors. We have that all in there. Maybe a little bit of oak and some tar also, but very quite a in-depth, complex flavor and aroma to this wine at this point. On the taste, it's a really good wine. So we'll start out with the fruit. There is dark fruit, cassis, black plums, blackberries, blueberries. But then there is almost a chocolatey component to this, like cocoa. And then on the aftertaste, the earthiness, some oak, some tar, some licorice. It's quite balanced. And I think with a little bit more aeration, it's got to a very nice state. Honestly, in tasting this and the Screaming Eagle 12, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference. I had the previous vintage of Screaming, the Flight, and I didn't think it was as good as this. This is quite good. I don't know whether it's just the vintage or just improvements in their winemaking, but this is quite good. And I don't think there's a lot of difference between this and the Screaming Eagle. It's so good. I think maybe the Screaming Eagle, because it's got a little bit more cab content, a little bit more intense, a little bit more tannic, but this is actually very relaxing and kind of reminds me of Pomerol type wines. A little bit stronger than Pomerol, quite frankly, but it's got that nice smoothness that Pomerol wines have in terms of the palate. Still young, but really refined, well put together. It is American in taste. It's not Bordeaux-esque. It's a little bit heavier than Bordeaux. It's 14.7% alcohol, but it's stylistically very Pomerol-like because it's got that very nice smoothness. But all the flavors are there, full intensity, really precise flavors, well-made wine, well-crafted. I think a lot of people will enjoy this. It's almost like a modern style Pomerol. It's got all that smoothness, all the black fruit, but it's got a little bit more intensity than Bordeaux's, which a lot of people actually like. So I'm going to rate this, even though it's quite a young wine, 95 points. It's a great wine. And as I said, compared to the 2012 Screaming Eagle, which is a great wine and a great vintage, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference. I mean, they're both spectacular wines, and this was part of a wonderful tasting night. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.